Hey, WokeNFree Nation, Newsly is an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice.
For the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling, start listening.
You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science to Bitcoin, or even one of your favorite celebrities. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud.
And they have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Our podcast, WokeNFree, is there too.
Now let's get into the episode. Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 316th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we are discussing why the United Auto Workers strike matters more than people think.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So before we dive deep into the subject, a couple of things to go over. First, have you gone to WokeNFree.com not only to listen to this episode, but also to download it through the Podbean app? Why do you want to do that? If you get the app, then you can put in your comments and you can tell us, what do you think about this strike? Are you concerned? Are you worried? Do you think it's not a big deal? Somewhere in between. We want to hear it all. So make sure you do that. Now, if you listen to podcasts on a device where you can't put another app on it, a couple of tears are shed, but there is another option for you to support the show. So you can follow and subscribe to WokeNFree on any of the places that you'll find the show. So we're on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. It's a WokeNFree world. So where most podcasts are consumed, you will find this show. Also, through the Podbean app, you can click to subscribe to follow the show there. And then on social media, we'd love for you to engage with us. We have lots of fun content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And then lastly, if you have 90 seconds, which is more of a statement, less of a question, we'd love for you to review the show because we want to know how the show is feeding into your life. So best way to do that, go to WokeNFree.com, go on the Listen tab, and then pick your platform of choice where you will review the show. Thank you in advance for the 5-star reviews.
That's a good ask.
Several asks, yeah.
But before we start the conversation, I think we should share a little bit about ourselves. This week, We're asking, would you rather have more followers on Twitter or Instagram? And Twitter, I guess,
X.
Former. Yeah, the former Twitter is now X. But this is... Remember, these questions are from the ether, so
gotcha.
This was before Twitter had become its
new
thing.
New dressing.
Yeah. Because now you don't tweet, you get X'd. You get X'd out.
It's interesting. It's a different world we live in.
Yeah.
I would say that's a hard one. Which platform or which followers would I enjoy more? So a part of me says Twitter because I like platforms that allow for hyperlinks and because you can point to resources and allow people to listen to the episodes a little bit easier. You can have, references to articles. You can share some stuff. But I also like Instagram and the artistic abilities that one has in the different ways that you can design your space on there. But overall, I'm a girl who loves the internet and I love to be able to share links. And I really hate that you can't do that on Instagram easily outside of stories and stuff like that. So I would have to go with Twitter. How about you? Or X, sorry.
I would have to go with Instagram because I don't know. To me, it seems a little bit simpler. Even though Twitter technically it limits you, there's too much going on Twitter that you can do. Really, now it's a good thing. And
they have a lot of different new things that they've enhanced now.
But yeah, I mean, I think I prefer the Instagram layout. It's kind of just it's straightforward. You know what you get. But Twitter, so for followers, I might not use it, but I like Twitter for news updates or events that are going on. It's really good for that because you can go in and quickly look at stuff. But I like Instagram just for the looks because you get these nice looking pictures and content.
It's beautiful.
And you get quick little videos. I mean, Twitter is more. It's I don't want to say it's like a garbage disposal land, but it's kind of like that.
That's really severe.
No, but I mean, there's just like a lot of junk though. I mean, even people's pages it almost reminds me of MySpace sometimes. Where there's all this, it's disjuncted. Like they'll put GIFs of like random stuff and you don't know what's going to pop up on there. But Instagram, at least it's a little more straightforward. At Twitter, you don't know what you're going to get. Like, when you jump around.
Gotcha.
Which is, I mean, Twitter's more free. I mean, it's not like Instagram they're kind of, they block a lot of stuff, but Twitter lets people do what they got to do, you know?
Yep.
They would never have people strike at Twitter, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just taking a guess. So I don't know if they're not unionized there. But
Elon Musk that way.
I don't think he would let them unionize, but if they did, then would they strike? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
But we know that, everybody seems to be striking these days, right? We got the actors doing it, the writers doing it, and you know who's next is now it's the auto workers.
Yeah.
What's actually going on with the United Auto Workers strike?
Yeah, so if you go to pbs.org, there's an article that shares kind of a little bit of updates for folks to understand what's going on about the nearly 150,000 auto workers that have gone on strike, I believe, as of last week, the end of last week. And here, what's really and wild about it is this is the first time in history that they went against the big three. So they went against GM, Ford, and Stellantis. Is that Stellantis? Yeah. And you know, it's for a couple of reasons. I think definitely wages. Their folks are wanting more income and moving up their wages, but also, you know, I think folks the strike is also involving around how they work. So folks wanting like a 32-hour work week and, but keeping at kind of the pay around a 40-hour level. And then, union representation around kind of the electric vehicle factories. And I think there's conflict between the direction that folks want to go with the electric cars versus, I guess, traditional cars. I'm not sure if that's the proper term for that. But I mean, I think that's some of the things I gleaned. What have you seen?
So I think in terms of the electric cars, the issue is that they want that the union to be represented at those factories that build the batteries, which is not, I guess that's not currently happening.
Not in place right now. Okay.
Yeah, because so most of the batteries right now, they're being built by a joint venture between the automakers and South Korean battery makers. And there's no unions involved there. So anybody working there, you know, they just got to fend for themselves.
And then they're not, they can't like freely kind of share their concerns without risk of being fired. Or,
they can, you can do when unions are interesting. I mean, they're good and bad.
It's better for the worker, worse for the org, essentially.
Yeah, but even for the worker, sometimes it could be a little rough because even just think about the strike as what if you didn't want to strike? What if you wanted to feed your family? I mean, you can't.
I mean, well, yeah.
I mean, maybe you have money saved up, and I think I forgot what it was, but I think you're getting like a limited paycheck.
Yeah, they're paying.
Yeah, very limited paycheck.
But it's not exactly what they would be earning.
So some people might be mad at that. Because there may have been workers that just imagine out 150,000, all of them wanted to strike. It wasn't that. No. Oh, it just needs to be the union reps to kind of get together and decide. And I guess I don't know if people vote or. I'm not sure how the strike works, actually. I didn't look into that.
Based on how the union, how they dictate that in their...
I don't know, their bylaws and all that stuff. But either way, not everyone's going to agree with that striking. But what I also want to go into is from AP News, they stated that the top scale assembly workers, they actually earned a decent living of $32 an hour. Okay. And temporary workers, they actually start at under 17. So I think that was kind of the
challenging.
The little issue there. Yeah. But, full-time workers, they actually do receive profit sharing checks, and it ranges from $9,716 at Ford to $14,760 at Stellantis.
For the year or per car or?
I think that's for the year.
For the year.
So they get their profit sharings. That's what it is per worker. So I don't know what you think of that.
I can't speak to that.
If you think it should be more or less.
Total, if that's...
It's just something
less
to think
than
about.
1% of the total profit being.
But remember, 100 I guess however many workers, let's say 30,000 per big three. I don't know how many it is, but that's like, to cut $20,000 checks for each of them.
No, that's a nice.
It's going to add up a little bit. So it's something to think about. And then the other thing they talked about is they wanted to have the restoration of traditional defined benefit pensions for new hires who now receive only 401k style retirement plans.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I think that's common at a lot of companies now. They're getting rid of those pensions.
Oh, yeah. People don't want to pay the pension.
And just going to 401k where the employee gets to pay in. It's fun for you.
Thank you. I paid for myself, yeah.
And then the company will do a match.
Matches, but
it's not like they're going to match you up to 30% even.
No. Well, there's like legal requirements as to how much it can go up to and all that
pension
stuff.
is different. Pension just straight up, we're giving you this money.
Yeah, here's your
you don't have to do anything. You've received this. And they would like a return of cost of living pay raises among other benefits, that's understandable.
Of course,
everybody should get that at least, right? that's fair. And I already discussed the battery electric issue that they want to be represented.
So I mean, really similar to the SAG writers and the SAG actors and the writers strike, in that people are frustrated with needing more income and needing some more security. I mean, that's I think what drives these strikes, is that people are fed up with the idea that they're expected to work so hard, but the compensation isn't matching societal standards and also what they need to feel comfortable and good about the work that they're doing. So, because I think it's a tough place to be.
Yeah. I think the hard thing is that they see that their companies are earning, incredible profits year over year. Some of these factory workers have been there for 20 years, and they're like, how come my pay hasn't risen with that? It hasn't been step in step. You can't question that. So I understand that.
Absolutely.
You don't want to stay stagnant. You're helping this company grow so large. It's like, hey, can I grow with you, please?
Absolutely.
What do you think are the consequences of the United Auto Workers strike?
So when you told me about this happening, and we definitely said, oh, we got to bring this to the WokeNFree Nation. It's problematic, y'all, because, our economy isn't built in a way where we can withstand people just not working in industries major industries like the car industry or manufacturing industry. So, I think the biggest economic cost is what our society will deal with. So for an article to check this out more on CNN.com, they share the following, that the estimates are, for instance, if all the UA workers at Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis strike for 10 days, it could cost the U.S. economy $5 billion, according to Anderson Economic Group's estimate, and $440 million worth of income would be lost nationally if all the UAW members strike for 2 weeks. And if the strike lasts 8 weeks, there's an estimate of $9.1 billion that would hit to incomes nationwide. So the biggest consequence is the systematic breakdown of our economy here in the U.S. And so I understand that they need to stand up for their rights, and they need to demand better wages and whatever they need to be able to comfortably go on with their world and stuff. But this is a huge concern, actually.
So that's the big picture, right? That the economy is gonna lose all this money. I think if we look at the smaller picture of what's gonna hit your wallet up directly, is to think about that when these auto workers are on strike, the factory production stops. So now replacement parts, those aren't being built. So repair costs are going to go up.
Okay.
Now there's no new cars being built. So car prices are going to go up again. Oh, used cars as well as the new car price will go up because there will be a shortage of cars, right? Yeah. So that's something that's going to hit up your wallet. Hopefully your car is in decent condition, or you can 3D print your parts, because otherwise you're going to be hit up by this. Smart. Directly.
Back to the future type of approach to
people
to vehicle making.
It can work. Okay. I mean, just don't replace your metal part with a plastic part. It may melt. That's the only thing I say. Just be careful. Hopefully you're 3D printing only plastic.
Please only get your cars professionally worked on, please.
Well, I don't know. You're saying that, but if they don't have the parts, so they say,
or maybe,
wait 7 months for your fix.
And this is another identification of the need to have folks be biking and walking more.
Well, you're laughing, but it's actually a true statement. We need, because those e-bikes are a real thing.
Amazing.
The only thing is, people in the Northeast, you're going to suffer when it's a blizzard, right? Because, you're biking through the snow, even with your e-bike. I think you're going to fall.
Yeah, that might, you might need to work from home, I think.
No, because what you can do is you can get like goggles with windshield wipers on it. They can wipe the snow back
and what happens when the temperature is so freezing that your body starts to freeze?
No, you wear 10 coats.
And you can comfortably bike that way.
It's an e-bike. Remember, you just got to pull the trigger. And the battery might not last.
Well, you know what? This is, again, a promulgation that, like,
yeah, it's
I'm
tough.
Fortunate in my career to be able to be, a remote worker. I'm fortunate that we're fortunate there's some organizations that are moving towards this space. And if cars are going to be too expensive for the mass type of production that we need to do and we need to scale down, that more and more organizations need to allow for and foster remote working. That way people don't need to drive as much, and that we can reduce our car productions because there's less people driving, more people working from home. So everybody just need to get their internet game
eventually
together.
We'll get there, but
yeah.
You forget the second problem that comes with that is that a lot of those jobs will become robot or AI jobs. So that's the only problem.
Working from home?
No, I'm saying so just think about it. Some of these jobs, if you're able to work from home, some of them you don't even need the people anymore. You can just use robotics or you can use AI to take care of that.
Then they would,
so they would eliminate that job position.
Then they'd have to do some type of career transition planning. And so maybe, there's got to be a way, right? Like,
I'm just saying for if I'm thinking everybody transition,
not all at once, right? Like someone still got
even like a gas station
has to make the burgers at Burger King, right? Like people until
we
get the
you
robots.
Don't need that. Like that can
until
be
the
replaced,
robots,
yeah.
but there is a contingency plan that can be developed for all the transitions needed. We just as a society need to just get there and say, okay, well, if we can't do more wages for people, then we have to make less cars, and so then there's a trickle down effect of that. So then it's I don't know. That's a lot of negotiation. Yeah. There's a lot of planning there. I don't know who leads that. Is that Mr. President? I'm not sure.
Who leads which part
of deciding as a nation? Okay, we're gonna set a goal that 50% of the nation is working remotely, right? Like, because I don't even know what the percent of us would be now. Like maybe 10%, if that.
The government could push that. It's probably a lot less than that. Maybe like 4%
or something, right? Like, but like if we flat out said we aim to get to 50% remote, in the next 10 years, what would be all the contingency plans needed for that? I don't think the government could
push that. People would lose their top if the government tried to step in and tell businesses how they need to run.
But I mean, again, they would unless there was
libertarians
there was some types of subsidies provided to help foster that and to help organizations get to that point.
There's people that hate the idea of the government saying you need to do this. Like there's people that hate the idea of the government saying. At the end of the day,
it's also there's a positive environmental effect for the massive reduction of our carbon footprint. So it's not like just doing this for kicks and giggles.
It's a reduction in freedom of business, or freedom of right to choose how you do business.
Yeah, of course, but we also have to think about this planet, and we can't burn it to hell. So,
but you're claiming that
by having more people work from home, you have less people on the road, you have less traffic.
But you don't have to do that. Remember, we talked about it. You can get on your e-bike and have your goggles.
Okay, so you're not taking this serious. Good.
I'm just saying though.
Okay.
More people are on the bikes, then it would be okay. Just don't ride your car to work. Or drive your car to work.
Exactly. First one, I think, yeah.
Well, you can ride a cart if you get one of those little toot-toots.
Careful not to turn into a zombie on the way to work. Yep, keep going.
What do you think needs to happen to end this strike?
Prayer. But outside of that, on AP News, there's some commentary that I thought was interesting. Let's see. Okay, so essentially there is rhetoric around the fact that, the workers, starting in 2007, workers gave up cost of living raises and defined benefit pensions for new hires. And then wage tiers were created by the UAW that tried to help the companies avoid financial trouble ahead of it. And then during the Great Recession, even so, only Ford avoided bankruptcy protection. And so, there still were payouts though, as we know, when we had the 2008 crash and all that. People still got their bonuses. People still got their pay, their pay, and at the top level, not at the worker level. And so, for a long time, the auto industry, like every other industry, hasn't necessarily done the best job it could do, right, to take care of the frontline workers. And so this strike is systematic of that. And so unless we actually have the increased wages, we, you know, kind of work into kind of what you're talking about with the requirement of getting either pension or some type of better retirement planning for the workers, really looking at the work week so that folks can, have a better work-life balance. Like, these are things that I understand. I sympathize with them. It's not, I don't think that what's being requested seems that ostentatious or, you know, wildly inappropriate. I think people are asking for a livable wage and they're asking for better work environment. So I don't see how.
And they're in an industry with nice profit margins. So
yeah,
that's why they're there asking that.
Yeah, so either, you know, like I said, if it's like, nope, we can't do that, we got to make less cars, then start to think through what are the conversations that need to happen on a governmental level, with other orgs, like figure out what is the plan.
That's not good to make less cars. Won't that mean they need less workers?
Yes, but maybe we can transition them into other, you know, maybe getting all of those folks trained in AI work or robotic training
or
work
car,
or like
car extended warranty plans.
You are trifling person.
They could sell that.
I wish they could see your face right now too, because you don't even you're not even taking this seriously.
No, I'm just trying to think of what they could sell.
You're just like, and then maybe consider clown school. I mean, it's like foolishness.
No, it's still in the auto industry. They're going to sell extended warranties.
Wonderful.
Your extended warranty right
half the workers are going to be turned into salesmen. Exactly. And then you think they're also going to do vacation bookings too? Like, I mean,
they have timeshare to sell you too.
Okay.
Car timeshares.
Okay.
They could create a whole new industry. If they can, come on.
Okay.
It's something completely new. I'm giving people ideas here.
Okay.
That's messed up, but I think that to me, it really just comes down to the wage requests. I think they just got to buckle down and say, but I know it's hard for the execs to do it because the problem is these are public companies and they answer to the shareholders.
Absolutely.
And the shareholders aren't going to say, you know what, guys?
Yeah, we'll have less profit.
Yeah, don't increase your profit this year. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
no one wants more money.
Make sure you take care of those workers. I don't care about what my portfolio looks like.
Yeah.
You know,
no, people want more money. They want more profit and more dividends. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the issue that they're at. But I mean, hey, you do want your dividends, but do you want you to go to zero as well? Because if the workers continue to strike, then your portfolio
lose all your money. Yeah.
Yes, you're gonna have to just cut your losses.
They may actually have to
basically.
cut. They may have to lose
cut
a little bit of the profit, but then also maybe they're a little bit too.
Profit.
Maybe they're too top heavy too, right? Maybe there's too many executives because if some of those
I'm not sure. I didn't look into how many.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
but I know they get.
If there's too many vice presidents and too many executive people with well over six figures,
and too many $1 million packages,
and then
$1
packages, payout packages. Yeah, like maybe there needs to be restructuring at that level that allows to pay out at the frontline workers level.
Yeah, because I just think it comes down to that, and once you guys bite the bullet, I think it'll work out.
Right.
I don't think the union's gonna. I don't think the union's just gonna say, "Well,
they're not
we'll
gonna
take less."
Down. Folks need to get what they need to get.
It's been a while since
it's coming. It's not.
Yeah, it's been a long time, so it's not like they strike every year, right? So I think they're gonna end up winning this one, to be honest. And the execs will have to just fold. It is time. It's time for scenario time.
Messed that one up. Yep.
Scenario 1. Keisuke is a top employee of a new American-Japanese electric car maker. The cars are all built in America, while the parts are shipped from Japan. The workers aren't unionized and receive worse benefits than workers in the UAW. Should he look into unionizing so the workers could be more fairly compensated?
Absolutely. And also be prepared to be terminated. Realistically. Because I know that talks of unions starts to really shake people at their, shake and so it depends on kind of what the employee handbook affords for in helping employees be able to address certain concerns. But I would say that he would want to make sure he's not the only lone charger here, that he is in a group of people, and that he's had conversations and is kind of coming to the table with several people, and hopefully different people at different levels of the org, to be able to advocate for the fact that this is not right and we need to make changes. And even if there isn't a union, doesn't mean that you can't make certain changes and make sure people get better benefits. But if you are doing union talk, just be prepared for some consequences. Not all orgs take too kindly to that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, for me, I would tell him not to look into the union, because then you have to look for another job, most likely. So I think he just needs to talk to his boss and get better benefits, is what I say. Like, I think go that route
But again,
first.
it seems like he's not just going down the route for himself. It seems like he's trying to look at the benefit of the whole. So I admire that. And I think that there needs to be, we want to encourage people to not look at career changes, not just from self, but for like the overall org. If you're in a position where you feel like, wow, like, all of us at X level aren't, doing X, Y, Z, then what are the team benefits? Not just like me, right? Because again, maybe he gets his things updated, but everybody else is left to just fight for themselves. That's interesting.
Well, maybe you can write a company memo that, wages need to increase across the board and get people to sign on to it, like they
put it on a picket line sign. Yeah.
Well, careful, because then they might think again you're trying to unionize. I mean, send the memo and say these people, they've signed it.
Oh yeah,
the memo, or everybody agrees.
People to sign a petition and all that good stuff.
Yeah, something like that. Scenario 2. Ngozi is a CEO of a large car maker who just received $35 million in bonuses in the form of stock options. He is pushing back on workers' demands of higher wages, saying it will force the company to raise the price of its cars. Do you think the CEO is telling the truth, or is there another possible way to increase the workers' wages?
Are you joking?
No, this is based off a real thing. And that's what's funny. Life is stranger than fiction. Life is stranger than fiction.
$35 million. You sure you can read that as $3.5 billion?
No, this is what it was for a year.
$35 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so this is a flat out lie. We can do better.
Oh, man.
And I don't think, listen, I'm not trying to come for people who are wealthy. I think that sounds fabulous.
Because he might have been mad. He was like, he didn't get his $42 million that he was promised.
But the problem is, though, if we have frontline workers who are not making a livable wage, or making a wage that is not keeping up with the cost of living, that $35 million payout is not appropriate to one person, when that could be probably reduced to $4 million, and then the rest of that really feeding into the system of paying the workers more. And I'm not trying to come at people at the top level. I think economic thriving and success is what we should all aim for. And I welcome as many millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires that we can have in this world, but not at the cost of other people. And if it means you, instead of $1 trillion you make $550 billion, but now the rest of the world can eat, I don't think that that's too much to ask for. I really don't. I really don't think that that's too much to ask for, because that's the problem, y'all. Like, we're not just thinking through, like, people are saying, hey, I want, I can't get Gucci, I have to get, Burberry. It's more like, can I eat, or do I pay my light bill? Like, people are literally in those situations with children, with animals, struggling to even pick what necessity they can afford at the time.
Do these top earners know that, though? Is my question.
Well, do they know that, and do they care?
Oh, do they care? Maybe. All right, that's the question.
Because you and I are
good point. Do they
care because we've been in that situation of deficiency, and
that's unfair. Though you shouldn't care just because you shouldn't have to.
But that's the human experience. Until you really go through something, you don't really have sympathy.
Like,
for people.
I can care for a seal that washes up on the ocean. On the beach, and I've never done it before. See, it's like
yes, but the problem is with human devastation. For some reason, it doesn't seem to hit home until you're you're in the middle of that.
You have to experience it, then you're like, oh, I see, this is bad.
Same thing, like, it's, remember when we were talking about the Ukraine-Russia thing that no one now wants to talk about, right? It's a sweet, distant memory, even though we definitely know things are still happening there. People were arguing that I think there was people on TV saying, no, these are actors, that's, even though they showed all those, baby carriages of, to represent all the dead babies that have, died in this, terrible tragedy. People like to put things behind them. People like to lie and just be like, no, that's rhetoric, instead of actually understanding that there's been loss of human life, the most precious life, which is a child's life. Children are dying every day, and people go ahead and eat their burgers and buy their Birkins and could care less, right? Like, cause it's not in their face. They don't have the blood and the stench
if they're being splattered and stuff, then they're gonna think about it, right? If you
see a baby get shot in the head in your face, then you care.
Unless you're a sociopath, right?
Well, yes. If you have other situations happening in your mind,
other situations. I mean, what are you doing? You're daydreaming or something? I mean, you're counting the sheep. I mean, what are you doing?
There's a biological situation that's happening, then yes, outside of
there's even other ways where you can ignore it too. You don't have to be a social.
For people who, if there are no other type of scenarios like that happening, and you see actual human devastation in your face, you're gonna care. I cared about homelessness. Coming from New York, right? Like, we saw homeless children and old people. It is heartbreaking to see the devastation in this country. People walk right over it.
But see, I think, so for that, it's not that I understand, but I think people do the whole thing, well, they put themselves in that situation, they can get right out of it. And they look at themselves and they're like, look at where I'm at.
Yeah.
I worked for this. They could work for it and get here too.
But see, that's the type of attitude.
It's not a great attitude.
Them against us is why we have this problem. Yeah. Right? Instead of looking at it and say, wow, this is my brethren. These are my brothers and my sisters. Because when we fail together, and when we win together. And so we have to look at economics from the perspective of we, not I. So yeah, I would love a $35 million bonus as well. But would I take that at the risk of having 100,000 people not be able to have a livable wage? Never in 1,000 years could I ever. It's inappropriate. It's wildly inappropriate to say that your bank account needs cushioning to that degree at the cost of human life.
But what if you thought you were getting 42 million for the year, and then it looked like you could only get the 35 million, and then you were also told that, oh, hey, people aren't getting the living wage? Then what decision do you make? Do you say, oh, but I thought I was getting even more millions this year, I'm not going to give them anything because I thought I was getting a lot more?
Again, I'm not saying that's the choice to make. I have the bias of, I want everyone to eat and to live. And I'm of the perspective and the bias where I understand that, yes, if you thought you were making 42 million and now you're making 35 million, that is upsetting. That is frustrating. But if you're also in the same breath, someone tells you, well, 100,000 of our workers also, are unable to meet their livable, standards of living. My bias says, you know what? Then I would rather give up, $30 million to be able to afford the 100,000 people to do what they need to do. Cause $5 million. And even if I have to give up 34 million or 35 million and I only get a $500,000 or $50,000 check, it is worth everyone being able to live and take care of their families and to close their eyes, feeling like they are respected and that people care. Because people close their eyes and think that no one cares about them and that their life is worthless. That's why people kill themselves. That's why people don't have any hope, because we operate from this perspective of, well, I gotta get mine and oh well to you. And it's not okay. Literally, people kill themselves over this stuff. It's people, guys, we have to get this together.
The disparity is just crazy, though.
It's too much. It's too much.
Because this person's making, I forgot how much more times than any of the workers. Come
on. It's not appropriate.
You can't even count it.
35 million. That's why I said, what kind of foolishness is this? You're talking about this as a group of people?
You're wondering why these people striked, right?
This is foolishness.
It's like, guys, I don't know.
Someone's making $17, someone's making $35 million, right? Like,
I know,
the disparity is disgusting. It's foolishness.
Because, you can't even could do a comparison of the numbers, right? You can't even say it's like, oh, he's making 5 times what the
it's
employees
not
make.
Okay.
It's not 5 times.
And I want to reiterate, I'm not saying we gotta, all rich people have to give away their money. Absolutely not. I would never in 1,000 years ever say that. I want people to be as rich and as thriving as possible, but not at the consequence or the cost of human life. That's what I do ask for. You have to thrive, but not on the backs of someone else. So maybe in the economic system set up in the United States, maybe that's really hard. I don't know. We have to look at everything. I'm not an economist. I'm not sure how that works, but in my mind, I don't see it where you can't have wealthy and also middle class and also that's what I'd want. I don't want I would want middle class, wealthy, and I guess super wealthy. That's what because the middle class should be the livable wage, right? That there shouldn't be anyone in the United States who is earning less than $65,000 a year.
But what you're asking
that's what
for,
I would love. That's the minimum basis because that I know you can live in most places in the country.
You can do all that, but it would have to go back to what you didn't want and what I would want. I don't care. I want the rich people to give up some of their money because I think people should just have a certain standard. Well,
and then it's a give take in life. So if rich people have to give up money into the pool, then the government has to maybe reduce their taxes. Or you have to. Life is not just take; it's give and take, right?
Maybe, but it's because it's kind of like
something.
Because just think about it: when you have 300 million, it's not. You don't really have that. It's just an accounting thing. So some of that could be used to help people actually buy bread.
But I don't want rich people to feel like they're being punished for their success because that's not appropriate.
It shouldn't be punished. It should be like you should feel like you're doing so well that you're actually helping people. You're bringing up freaking society. You're helping.
I would love
humans live longer, right?
Yeah.
Like it needs to be presented where you're doing something so great that you're helping everybody. I mean,
maybe they get awarded, or like I said, maybe then they don't have to pay taxes for the rest of their life or something. Like whatever the system is, I don't know what the systematic setup would be, but we have to make it.
But I know that's the hardest logistics.
What is like I said, the lowest income level should be around $65,000 in the U.S. because anything less than that is really, you're making it too hard for people to live. Too hard. I mean, there's places, like you can look on the news, landlords are raising rents 3, 5, 9 times. I mean, it's like, what do you want from human beings?
I don't think that's the answer, is giving everybody a specific number, because the problem is you got to keep up with inflation. Then
that's the baseline. I'm saying we have to raise things.
So you say
because we have minimum wages where people are still making $12. That's not appropriate.
I think there needs to just be kind of like a coupon system or something where you get this, you have a place to live, you can eat whatever much food you can, you have your broadband internet, all that kind of stuff is taken care of, and there's no like monetary label slapped on it. It's just like, here's your coupon.
I would love the idea of people also, like, I love companies that say, hey, we'll buy the house and you get to live in it as long as you work
even
for
that
us.
Thing,
like stuff like that. If we got into that system where like maybe the asset ownership falls on the org and not on the person, I would absolutely live in a property that was owned by my company.
As long as they're not trying to overcharge you or something, because
like it would be free for you to live there. That's what I'm saying. Like, so your income is your income,
free to live in.
And you're not paying into that system. Like, but again, there's different ways to go about it. But we've got to look at the lack of equity and the disparity in this world, and not just laugh about it, but like actually.
But you have to laugh because it's too crazy and depressing. I mean, if you don't laugh, then
it makes me want to cry. Like I said, it makes me, when I see homeless children.
It's not great.
I want to cry. I'm just like, this is too much. I don't understand. This is too much.
It's baffling because there's just so much wealth, though. I think that's the hard part, right?
There's so much.
Because it'd be different if people didn't live well, but there's people that live really well.
Yeah, I mean, I was just watching an episode of, I believe, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Someone lost a $60,000 ring, right? Like, and is crying up and down. I mean, that's someone's salary.
Yeah.
On her finger. That's what I'm saying, the opulence. And good for her and her husband for being able to purchase such a thing. That's beautiful. That's wonderful.
Well, just remember, and they're purchasing that 60,000 item. Who do you think that CEO of that company that made that ring is making? They're making like gobs of money off of these people. So it's I'm like saying, keeping the wealth with the wealth. We have people walking
around with like thousands of dollars on their body. So we have to take a look at everything and just figure out how we can do things a little bit better and a little bit more equitably.
Because people might not like it, but it would solve even this one that happened, is that maybe the workers have to be paid a certain ratio of what the CEO makes in these huge companies. Meaning the CEO is making whatever amount of money. The lowest worker can't get paid less than a percentage of that kind of thing. There's got to be something
different ways to do the math. You can make the math, right? You can make it work. And like I said, maybe we have to go into a different way of compensation. Looking at, like I said, like maybe executives are executives who never have to pay for their living. Maybe their housing is always covered. They have cars.
Do all that
they
and
never
still get
have.
These nice benefits.
No. Yeah, we can't do everything.
They get everything you just said.
We have to do a little bit different. They get all that. They get a house to live in for free. They get cars to drive for free, but they don't. Yeah, you also don't get a $35 million check on top of that.
You lower the stock options.
You lower stock options. And then also give them the option to give back some of the money, and that could lend for other types of things.
A pat on the back. Good work.
Exactly.
Scenario 3. Shari worked as an assembler at a large Michigan plant for the past 30 years. She has been quite comfortable with her compensation, but is forced to strike now that the union has started it. She now only receives $500 a week while not working. Do you think she should quit her job and look for a non-unionized assembly job?
So, I'm assuming she normally is not making $500 a week in her regular wage. I'm not laughing.
Oh, okay.
I'm just simply saying, I want to be clear, right? Like the difference of the pre-strike versus after-striking ratios.
This is the strike ratio.
So, I mean, as you said in this a fictional person in Michigan is quite pleased, right? For the working environment. And so even though she's forced to strike, if she's been pleased for the last 30 years, based on that, I would say she's probably more likely to want to stay in her current role than try to start over. Because for some people, when you have long tenure like that in your career, you are deeply loyal and not interested in switching things up like that. And so she most likely is going to have a natural tendency to want to stay and make it work as long as she can survive on these strike wages. So that would be the only kicker. If she can't survive on $500 a week, which, I don't know who could. Maybe there's some people able to do that. That's wonderful. I know that I would die. But for others, if as long as she can make that work, great. But if not, then she may be looking into another job, because that's a really rough wage. If say she was normally making $2,000 a week, right? To go down to $500, that's a drastic change, right? So just depends.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard, I think, with her level of experience to get a job that will compensate her the same way, and they're not unionized. I don't know, that just seems like it's going to be a little tough to do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know when she's set to retire either, so I think she might want to wait it out, just because what if they get a nice package after the strike ends, and she missed out on that because she couldn't wait. So that's the only reason I'd say just wait it out and see what happens in the long run, because you may miss out on something that would have been a lot better for you. I'm going
to say something, just don't laugh, but like she may have to just, maybe consider being like an Uber driver or Lyft driver.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else, like
the food delivery?
No, there's another platform that people go to make money.
OnlyFans?
It's that you brought that up. I mean, that's one of them.
Etsy?
Yeah. There's Fansly.
Amazon affiliates?
Yeah, exactly. She could do that. I don't know how she could sell them on that, but
so she could consider becoming an affiliate marketer.
Oh yeah, that's
start a blog, of course.
And then she can download those apps where you test games and they allegedly pay you.
You can answer surveys and get paid per survey.
Oh, those are fun. Yeah, where the email goes to your junk email, and you got to go in there and say, "Oh, let me see if this is real," and then you don't qualify for it.
Exactly.
And then you get 10 cents when you do. Yeah, I mean that works out really well. 10 cents a year.
Do 1,000 of them, and you're making a livable wage.
you wish you would qualify for 1,000. So that's the problem. You wish.
There's no laughing matter, Khalil.
Yeah, because you're trying to give options for her to make more money.
Well, I'm just saying, consider additional.
But it's technically true.
What
if she bakes pies or something?
Yeah. Excuse you?
Bakes pies.
Okay.
People did that during the pandemic. Then they just
They
transitioned to that whole thing. It was like
it's
crazy.
So smart. It's
They're
so
like,
cool.
I guess people like these things. Let me keep making them.
Pies? Hell yeah.
Like, that's interesting to get in the food business, but you can, though. You never know.
With that, I think that we are definitely at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 316th episode of Woke and Free. You're a mess. And we had quite a time discussing why the United Auto Workers strike matters more than people think. Khalil, what should folks do now?
Come back next week for the new WokeNFree Wednesday episode. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
Absolutely, and if folks are interested in sharing a topic for an upcoming episode or their life story for consideration of interviews, best way to reach us is on our Contact Us page, not my LinkedIn messaging or Facebook messaging or email, but rather go to WokeNFree.com, go on the Contact Us page, and share your story and your thoughts there. Now, for social, we'd love to hear from you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And all sponsorship and collaboration queries, best place to reach us, Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokeNFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokeNFree is more than a podcast, it is a way of life. Till next time.